right, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have our Keith Haring figures drawn and cut out, we are going to work on doing our final piece of artwork with them. So these figures that we've cut out are going to act as our templates. We're going to arrange them on our paper. We're going to trace them, and that way we can have these figures repeating. We can also have them overlapping. So the first thing you need to decide is how you want to arrange them. So we can have one figure repeating multiple times. We can have our figures, different figures, dancing across the page. If you've done several in different poses, you can put them across your page like that. You can have them overlapping. And they don't even have to stand up the way that you cut them. You can have them turning different ways. They can even be flipping upside down if you want them to. So I think, let's see, I'm going to start with this one right here, kind of at an angle here. And I'm going to hold it down very firmly with this, my non-drawing hand. I'm going to put my pencil very close to the edge of it, and I'm going to trace it very slowly and carefully. Now sometimes tracing our pencil will get off of where it's supposed to go, or if we're going too fast, you know, we get messed up. But that's okay, just move your pencil back where it needs to be. Or if our template that we're tracing, if it moves, that's okay, just move it back the best you can. We're going to color these in with markers, so we'll be able to cover up our mistakes. I don't want you to worry about that. And you'll also be, I hope you're drawing very lightly so that you can erase it pretty easily if you make a mistake. I don't want you to worry about mistakes too much, all right? So I'm very carefully tracing around this figure. I'm moving my hand out of the way as I need to. Making sure I get all the way around. I don't think I've done this leg yet. All right, let's make sure I've traced the whole thing. Yep, there we go. All right, I think I'm going to do this figure next. And let me decide where it's going to be. I like it to be kind of like that. And I'm going to have it overlap just a little bit. You see how this arm is crossing over this one? So I'm not going to trace that arm. I don't want that arm to look like it's on top of that figure. I want it to sort of be like it's behind that figure. So I'm not going to trace that part where it hits that line of that figure. I'm not going to trace that part. So I'm just going to start at that line. And then I'm going to very slowly and carefully trace around this figure. All right, I've traced around that second figure, and notice when I got to this arm and it hit that first figure that I did, I stopped drawing. I didn't draw the rest of that arm there. Okay? And then I think I'm going to go back and do this first figure again, but I think I'm going to flip it over the other way so that it's facing the other direction. Well, let's see how I want this one facing. Maybe I want it kind of up here just a little bit, or I'll tilt it this way just a little bit. So you can just arrange your figures however you would like, however they look best, and get them all traced on there. All right, guys, I want you to have at least 3 figures on your paper. It is up to you how they are arranged. You can have 3 of one kind of figure. You can have 3 different figures. You can have more than 3. You just can't have less. All right? Once you have them all traced on there, I want you to start coloring them. We're going to color them with markers. And I want you to color them nice and bright. I want you to color in the figures a nice solid color. Okay? So we're going to start out by coloring each of these figures a solid color. All right, now that I have my figures colored in, I'm going to do what's called an echo line around them. So I'm going to use a different color, and I'm going to trace around the outside again. I'm going to do at least 3 echo lines for each figure. So I'm going to start with this purple one. I'm going to choose a different color that sort of contrasts with that color. So let's see, let me get different color. Start with a green. So I'm going to do this echo line around the outside. And I'm just staying very close to the figure that I drew. And I'm just outlining around the outside, but I'm just doing another layer of color. And when I get down here to this yellow one, I'm going to stop and I'm going to skip over that part right there. Come down here. Go all the way around with this green. Very carefully. Go all the way back to where I started. All right, so that's one echo line in green. And now I'm going to pick a different color. Why don't I do orange this time? I'm going to do a second echo line outside of that one. I'm going to turn my paper just a little bit. You can make it as thick or as thin as you would like. You can make a really thick echo line if you would like. You can make it kind of scribbly, or you can make it smooth like I'm doing. And again, when I get down here where I'm hitting my yellow one, I'm not going to go over it. I'm going to skip it. I'm going to put a little orange in here. You can see my figure is getting wider with each echo line. It's also getting a little brighter. It's getting a little more interesting, more colorful. You can use whatever colors you would like. You notice in some small sections in here, my lines are starting to come together, which is perfectly fine. There we go. So that's my second echo line. And then I think for this last one, I'm going to use pink. And then instead of just a straight line, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a pattern. I'm going to do a zigzag. Make it a little more interesting. And I'm just going to do the same thing all the way around. I'm going to have to decide as I come into these curves how this zigzag is going to deal with those angles. And it doesn't matter if you kind of make a mistake. This is up to you how you're going to do this. You could do a swirly line. You could do sort of just a scratchy squiggly line if you wanted to, instead of a zigzag. And I can also come back in if I want and color in inside of this zigzag with another color, which I might do. That might be really interesting and bright and colorful. I'm going to come back in and do my zigzag on this side. It's starting to overlap. Come back out here. You can see my zigzag's a little uneven, but that doesn't bother me at all. And you can see here, I can't even get back into that inside, so I'm just going to continue around here. Keep turning my paper to make this easier for me. I'm going to stop here when I hit my yellow figure. Skip over to this inside here, do a few zigzags. And there we go. That's my third echo line on this figure. So I'm going to do the same thing with these next two figures. I'm going to do some echo lines however I want to. I'm going to speed this up and do that part before we do the last step. But I also want to make sure that I do something else with these figures, just like we saw on Keith Haring's drawings. He did some movement lines that show us that these figures are in motion. So he did something like this. So I'm going to take a black marker or a dark marker or a dark pencil and do a couple movement lines like this to show us that this figure's in motion. I can do another couple down here, maybe one down here. Okay, and I can do them on any of these, and I could do something like this. This just gives us the impression that this figure is in motion. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do my echo lines around my figures, and I would like you to work on yours as well. Now that I've got echo lines around all three of my figures, I still have some white space back here in the background, and I definitely want to get that all filled up and get this picture looking really bright and really electric. So we can do all kinds of things with this background. We can fill it up with just lots of color. We can fill it up with lots of pattern. We can continue doing like we've been doing. Now that our figures are kind of forming into one shape, we can start doing echo lines that go around just these big shapes, which I think I might do that. You can fill it up with whatever kind of patterns you think that you want to add. If you want to add something like a radio or something to show that your figures are dancing to some music, you can do that. I think what I'm going to do is continue doing some larger echo lines that go around all three of my figures. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to make a big zigzag that starts coming around this purple figure. And it comes in this space right here. And it comes back out. It comes off my page here. It comes back around this red figure. And down here around my yellow one. Again, it comes off the page. up here. And then I might do one more kind of out here. I'm going to do kind of a wavy line that we see just little parts of way out here. Up here. And that's about it. Alright, so in these different sections I've made, I'm going to put some different patterns, some different colors, whatever you want to do to finish this up. So I'm going to make it nice and bright. I'm going to start coloring. I'm going to speed this up again. And I want you to start thinking about what you want to do to finish up your Keith Haring masterpiece. Alright, there is my wild and bright Keith Haring inspired artwork. I hope you enjoy creating yours as much as I did.